full truth, scope, scale, and impact of the climate crisis. Today marks the beginning of a new era of action addressing the climate crisis. Together, we can focus the world's attention. This is 24 Hours of Reality.
We're traveling to Auckland, New Zealand now, land of countless sheep and endless hills, to meet a very special guest. You probably know her as the title character on Xena, Warrior Princess, as number 3 on Battlestar Galactica, or as Lucretia on the television series Spartacus. We know her as Lucy Lawless, a passionate advocate of climate change, awareness, and education. She's a fervent supporter of Greenpeace's Sign On campaign to promote that aims to pressure New Zealand's political leaders to sign on to a 40% emission reduction target by 2020. Please welcome from Auckland, New Zealand, a warrior princess for the environment, Lucy Lawless.
Hi, I am Lucy Lawless, coming to you from clean, green, 100% pure New Zealand. That's our brand, and that's the way that we like to think of ourselves. We are small but perfectly formed. However, a lot of people down here seem to think that we should be a bit more like Australia because they're big and they're cool. But very soon, when you crank up the temperatures a few degrees in Australia, the driest country on earth, what are you going to have? You're going to have 24 million thirsty Australians landing on our beaches looking for a glass of water. But worse than that, if there could be anything worse than that, is that in the South Pacific, the countries of kids that I grew up with, and many of you grew up with, are shrinking because the mighty Pacific Ocean levels are rising up to swallow them. Ban Ki-moon, the leader of the UN, came to the South Pacific last week and visited Kiribati and saw for himself the high tide flushing in and out of people's former homes, and he was shocked. Climate change is the #1 threat to life in the Pacific. And why? It's because we are clinging to a broken economic model which does not sustain life. How bizarre. And fossil fuels, they're filthy, they are toxic, and they belong to the 19th century. They are not part of the solution to what we are facing in the 21st. So we want our governments, and we have an election coming up, our government to get on board with reality. We want them to support our clean tech sector. We have excellent expertise in hydro, in solar, in wind, and most especially, we are world leaders in geothermal energy production. Did you know that? I feel so proud. So it baffles me why when China asked for tenders on a $13 million geothermal gig, we didn't even bid. Iceland got it, and good for them. Now China has announced that they have a $13 billion whole string of projects, and we want our government and our geothermal sector to go out there and aggressively pursue those projects because we have the expertise they need. It's good for the planet, and it's good for us. What we do not want is new coal and new